What up, everybody? Welcome to the Smoking Tire Podcast. You know it, and I know it. Your favorite car podcast. This podcast is brought to you by Off the Record, as always. But, asterisk, very important, we're getting rid of the app code. It's been problematic. People have been having problems using the code on the Off the Record app. Instead, you want to support your favorite podcast when you use Off the Record, the best legal aid service. Legal aid service is probably not the right term. Service to help connect you with a lawyer to fight your tickets and win 97% of the time. That's Off the Record. Go to offtherecord.com/TST. They'll get you all legal services, 10% off when you book through us, right? Offtherecord.com/TST. They're the best, but ditch the code on the app. You can use the app once you make an account, right? The app is still good, but there's something about the software and the code through the app, it's causing problems. So it's gone, banished, right? Like your tickets, like the points off your record. Offtherecord.com/TST. Love them. All right. This is a very special episode of the podcast because I've been waiting to talk about this in detail for months. Today we're going to go out to Willow Springs. Zach and I are going to sit down at the famous Willow Springs Diner with Sam Byrne of Cross Harbor Capital, my new friend, and with Maz Fawaz of Singer. And they are going to talk about all of the plans in detail of Willow Springs, of what's happening. They've bought this place. What are they going to do with it? Long form, on the record. Also, some really interesting tidbits about what's going on at Singer, vehicle design. Maz gives us some inside baseball there. And we learn who Sam is. Who is this guy who shows up out of nowhere and buys one of the most famous racetracks in the country? So this is a really interesting bit of radio. Zach and I out at Willow with Sam and Maz, who own the track. All right, here we go. At the legendary diner surrounded by a photorealistic cactus and a Corvette with Sam and Maz. Thanks for doing this, guys. I appreciate it.
Pleasure. Nice to be here.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Big news. You guys own a racetrack now. Good times. There's certainly this podcast may be a little bit inside baseball to Los Angeles because of what this track means to this car community, not just LA, but San Diego and the whole SoCal area. But I think even if you're not from Southern California, it is important to recognize how important it is for LA and San Diego and everyone in this area to have a world-class motorsport facility. And so when they announced the track was going to be sold, and when they announced that Sam's company, Cross Harbor Capital, was partnering with Singer, and Maz is representing Singer today, to purchase this, it was, oh no, don't take it away. Don't make it private. But the thing is, I already knew Sam and Maz, and so I was confident that they were not going to mess this one up. So, Sam, let's start with you. Who are you? I'm just kidding. Sam Byrne. I'm not going to throw you on the spot, but what about you and acquiring this racetrack? Tell me the story of you seeing it and then following through.
Sure. Well, first off, enthusiast and collector to begin with. And I think that's kind of where I started. And for the last decade, as an investment firm, we've seen a lot of track deals shown to us, typically de novo, new places being built in more obscure areas, trying to get financing, largely modeled around private clubs, and we had financed a bunch of stuff in the private club business. You visited a couple of them. And we thought it was a really interesting business, except that the ideas didn't seem to have much soul. They didn't really seem to appeal to me as an enthusiast, because they didn't, beyond not having any history, the idea of being in a place that was purely private seemed just a little awkward to me, particularly given the scale that you can achieve with these facilities. And so, we had looked off and on at various places around the country, continued to see more tracks that were close to major urban areas go away, basically become the Amazon warehouse, as we know is going on. And
that was a fear too when the track sold, that it might not remain a racetrack. Forget being a private track.
And this sort of dropped into our lap. I saw this. I'd known about Willow, and I saw it advertised in one of the, I think it was podcasts and blogs and things like that. And I sort of was shocked that something of this scale was being publicly offered. It was being sold by a broker who was in the largely in the residential mobile home business, right?
Well, there were some mobile homes here, so
maybe there were.
Maybe that's how they got through it.
But right from the start, given the scale and given its proximity to LA, this was super appealing to us. Really interesting.
Maz, Singer Vehicle Design has been like really, I mean, the sort of a figurehead in the modern Los Angeles customization, restoration, modification culture, inspiring lots of imitators and other people that are not imitating, but were clearly inspired by the early and continued success of Singer and what they're doing. I just went to your new factory. Incredibly impressive stuff. I drove a little taste of Sam's new turbo last time I was here. Zach and I are driving your turbo on Friday. But a club? First it was like when you guys did the watch 2 years ago. I was like, car guys, watch guys, I get it, but like a complicated watch, not like a cross brand, and that was like crazy, and you stuck with that. And now a club. Talk to me. What's going on here?
Well, we think of ourselves as sort of California. I mean, we wouldn't exist. It's not like we don't think this could have happened anywhere else. Singer could have happened anywhere else. It's like, LA, Malibu, the whole thing. That's really, it's sort of ingrained in our cars. The idea that, the excitement for us really is the idea that Southern California can have a racetrack, a real racetrack. Yeah. We think of the nearest one as Laguna. So we go there all the time. Yeah. We've been,
It's 8 hours, guys. With a trailer, that's 8 hours.
No, it's all day. But that's, the idea that LA, Orange County, San Diego could have a motorsports facility, one where we could be a part of it, is like a fantasy.
It's so crazy that we went so long without.
It's so crazy we went so long without. This place operates. I've raced here a few times, but it's just hasn't been touched in so long. I would argue that when it was built, cars were a lot slower. Tire technology sucked. Maybe it was fine.
Dude, they shot Ford versus Ferrari here and didn't change anything.
Yeah, that's right.
I was on the elliptical yesterday, not because we were doing this today, but I'm on the elliptical, and Ford versus Ferrari is in the Netflix. It's just put up on Netflix. Yeah. I'm like, you know what? That's a good cardio. And I watched it, and the Ken Miles Willow Springs scene with the wrench. I'm going, they put up the little banners like you put up for the photo shoot, and it did absolutely nothing else.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's incredible, and so I think at least from a personal perspective, the idea that I could drive an hour and a half I live in Santa Monica, and go to a racetrack that we're a part of, just to be a part of the story and be a part of and now part of the ownership. I mean, it's the coolest thing, just from a car lunatic perspective.
Well, it's the coolest thing. If you're in LA, this is the right amount of distance for a racetrack, right? Yeah. It's far enough where you've got a real racetrack. No disrespect to the kind folks at the Concourse Club who are fabulous people who've done a great job. Aaron is the best, but it's in the city and it's limiting what you can do there. Sure. But here, it's still a day drive. You're out and back. You don't have to stay out here. It's not that far.
You can be home by dinner. Yeah. You can have a fabulous day out,
and you've got a real racetrack.
And there's no noise restrictions, right? I mean, it needs a lot of development and so on. So I think the first for us, it's being part of a Southern California racetrack. The private club side really came after meeting Sam and understanding what Yellowstone Club has become.
Well, my next question was Singer and Cross Harbor. How did that happen?
So Sam is I met him through. We have investors who he's known for a long time, but he's also a customer. And I met him at Le Mans last year, and that's where the conversation started. The idea that Singer could have a private club wasn't something that had been brewing for a long time. In a weird way, we do have we have private get-togethers, we have our clients get together. There's just a kind of a club element, right? That really when we started looking at the idea of Willow Springs being an actual thing,
Yeah.
well, it could host a private club. It could remain a public circuit, but have a private club, and of course, we could be at the center of that.
Which aspect of having your name on a portion of this is most appealing to Singer? Is it the club? Is it that you can have a testing and development center here? Is it that you can have a customer experience center here, a sales center? Does any of those branches of business appeal to you guys more than any other?
So Singer gets to participate in Willow Springs becoming a thing in Southern California, which again we're sort of made of. We get to have be part of a private members club, which is kind of cool. It's a step for our brand, right? It's a thing we've been trying to. Our little brand has been trying to punch above its weight for a very long time. To me, it's just another thing to participate in. But of course, having now a facility here where we can keep cars, we can service cars, we can come out and do development and testing. You and I can just go out and drive. Like that's, we can just leave Torrance with a few customers or just ourselves and go out to the circuit. I mean,
and you could make a really nice road drive here. You go over Bouquet and Spunky Canyon to get here. You can make that drive nice.
Yeah.
Sam, let's talk real quick about the sort of division of public and private. This is the major concern for a lot of people when they talk to me. And I've been saying to people for weeks, wait, just trust me, trust me. No, trust me. Sam's cool. He's not going to hose us. He's not going to hose us, right? So talk to me about how we're going to divide up the usage as well as the physical property.
Yeah. Well, we're still working through some of the usage pieces. And
oh wait, by the way, sidebar: the renderings that you showed, are we allowed to show those? Can we? Is that
probably not?
Okay,
but I think we can by September. We'll give you stuff that we absolutely know we can do and build.
Okay.
And we've been working with the county. The county's been fantastic, but we have lots of work to do there.
But just even as like non-committal inspirational visuals. When I saw the photo, the renderings, I was like, oh. That it could look like that.
Yeah.
Oh,
and so, certainly around the track.
The
track will. I think we came to the conclusion yesterday that we're going to be FIA 2, which means there's going to be a tremendous amount of improvements to the Big Willow that will make it more flexible, make it more interesting, and first of all and foremost, make it more safe.
Yeah,
which is really safe not just for human life, but also for
cars.
People's property.
Yeah, this is a bad place to have an off.
I was fortunate enough to sit with a bunch of car enthusiasts last year in Monterey, and I sat with Danny Sullivan, and he said the reason we stopped testing there wasn't because we were killing drivers, but we were destroying cars.
Yeah,
and we just couldn't afford it.
Yeah, it's bad. So, but I got away from it. So, public, private. Talk to me about the plan.
I did my best politically to work away from the question.
Yeah, you can.
So
what are the 5 Ds of dodgeball?
Yeah. Well, I led with this idea that pure private places, don't really have a soul, don't feel like they have a soul. And I think I shared the anecdote with you that I might have a dozen cars, and I meet a guy who has the 73 RS lightweight, and I'm going to talk to him for 3 hours, and it's the only car he has, and he's been, he's owned it for 40 years. And that's the community. And I think that a pure private experience would dramatically lack community. They also are very difficult to make money. So from a pure business perspective, having public access here is really important. And so we will lean at least as much into the public and OEM as we will the club side. What we're fortunate to have here is these multiple facilities. That was the thing that was most unique. When we looked at de novo land outside of any big city, first of all, prohibitively expensive.
You've used that word twice, and I've never heard it before. What is de novo?
Undeveloped, new, of nothing.
Is that's an acronym for something? For what?
It's Latin.
Oh, okay.
I think, and someone's going to correct me on there, but it's basically of nothing.
Okay,
There's nothing there yet.
Okay.
So you're starting with a fresh piece of dirt.
Okay.
First of all, permitting. Second of all, anybody complaining about noise. For any number of reasons, they're just not getting built in any place where people can drive to comfortably.
Sure. Yeah. Okay.
And so, from my perspective, having the public element is really important. Now, people that are going to spend the money, which is going to drive the revenue to make a lot of these improvements, they don't want to be exclusionary. They maybe want a slightly more comfortable vertical. That's fine. Let them pay for it. And we'll provide it. We're good at we know the club business.
I see it more of like, instead of like opening like a members only like supper club, you're putting a VIP section in an already hot club.
It's a really good way to describe it.
And I think more people, there are a certain type of people that literally don't want to be around the regulars. But I think there's more people, particularly in Southern California, who are looking for, like you said, maybe a more comfortable VIP experience, but at the thing that is cool, because like if you cut this off and wall this off from people, there's no racing, there's no track days, people stop caring. No one cares.
There's no soul.
What does a lap time, no offense to them because they do a fine job, what does a lap time at Thermal mean to anybody? Nothing. Because who's ever driven it? Who can compare? But when you've got a race car and when you've got a public track day and all the YouTube videos and now you're a member, blah, 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 it actually means something.
And you will be able to run, at least in our current design scheme, you'll be able to run the original Big Willow course. That won't necessarily always be the course at Big Willow because a lot of people won't be capable of driving that in a really fast modern car. But you will be able to run that course and be able to talk about your lap time compared to something in 1958 or 1961.
Track configurations. I mean, we're still under development, and there's a bunch of racetrack folks that are here driving around in Suburbans today.
Yep.
But I, from what I understood, you guys largely plan to keep the layouts that exist now, add a little bit where necessary, and Maz, why don't you speak to that?
It's adding optionality.
Folks, got to take a quick break because support is coming in hot from TrueWork. TrueWork is hell-bent on creating the most technical, high-performance workwear in the world. The TrueWork story begins in the Colorado mountains, where a trade worker knew there had to be a better solution than the wet, heavy gear that was weighing him down, and TrueWork was born. I can attest to this because I wore my TrueWork hoodie, technical hoodie they sent me, to air water, where it went from rain to hot to rain to hot to rain to hot. And I was able to keep the same garment on the whole time because every TrueWork product is engineered for maximum comfort, protection, and efficiency with minimum bulk or extra weight. Denim and cotton canvas have not changed forever, but TrueWork upgrades those traditional classics with the same fabrics worn by elite athletes. I love the pants they sent me. They're light. They keep me warm, but I don't sweat too much. The pockets are placed right. They got the zip pockets, so my phone's not coming out. It's windproof and waterproof. Fantastic pants. I really like them. And like I said, that hoodie they sent me seems to work for every single type of weather. Upgrade to TrueWork for a major change in the way you work. TrueWork, I realize this is workwear. That's what they're targeting. But like I work in an office mostly, and I work in and out of cars. I'm not like cutting down trees. And I think the clothes are great and comfortable. You don't have to have a trade job to wear these things. They're just really nice clothes, but they might make your work life better if you actually do those things. You can check out the full lineup and get 15% off your first order at truework.com/tire. That's 15% off at truewerk.com/tire. And support today is also coming in extra hot from CarGurus. You know CarGurus. You've heard of everyone's heard of CarGurus before. It's been around forever, right? Everyone's heard of it. But do you know what CarGurus actually does? It's not just like a whole bunch of smart people that are gurus about cars. Otherwise, like, I would work there. It's not that, right? It's about confidence in purchasing. CarGurus is there to help you cut through the noise, showing you the best deals and in-depth vehicle details so you can feel confident about your car purchase. Because when it comes to your big deal, you deserve the best deal, right? Car shopping, it sometimes feels like it's the scam designed to make you second guess yourself. Is this actually a good price? Am I making the right choice? Is this actually a good car? You don't have to wonder anymore. CarGurus has the most inventory of new and used cars so you can find the best deal. And with unbiased deal ratings, price drop alerts, and in-depth vehicle reviews, you'll make a decision you can feel great about because a big deal should never feel like a big risk. It should be exciting, not exhausting. But between misleading prices and hidden fees, it can feel like a maze. CarGurus has got you. They rank the best deals, verify dealers, and make sure you never pay more than you should. Right? Right, CarGurus connects you with trusted dealerships when you're ready, ensuring a transparent and hassle-free buying experience. They've got over 4 million listings, more car listings than any other major online automotive marketplace in the U.S., so you can find the best deal. And CarGurus gives you the control to shop how you want to shop with the tools, information, and data-driven deal ratings you need. It's no wonder SimilarWeb estimated traffic data shows that CarGurus is the #1 most visited car shopping site. So, buy or sell your next car today with CarGurus at CarGurus.com. Go to CarGurus.com to make sure your big deal is the best deal. That's CarGurus.com. CarGurus.com. Now, back to the program. Yeah.
Right. So Big Willow will remain. Streets will remain with a tiny few adjustments. But
can we keep the 4-foot orange cone where if it's not there, you drive into a deep hole, and if it is there, you get to avoid the hole?
The answer is no.
You should keep it and put it in like a glass box, like that
exactly
table
right.
that Anthony Bourdain ate with Obama. The cone. Actually, it's
There you
pretty
go.
funny, and you could like turn that cone into like a trophy for like a championship on that track. That would be pretty fun.
it's not a bad idea.
You should keep the cone. The cone has to
We're
live on.
not throwing anything away that we.
You need to hire You need to hire my wife for sentimental whimsy, and she'll go around and find interesting stuff to keep before you bulldoze things. Seriously, you've met her.
We're not bulldozing things. That's not us.
Yeah, that's the next question. What are we bulldozing?
We're going to start today.
Please let me. Have you ever knocked a building down? It is fun. Oh, it's so fun.
When the time comes, we'll let
Please
you out
do.
here with a D8 and let you do it.
Okay, so we're
very
gonna-
little right now. We're going to actually make some improvements for early activation. So another concern people had was, is the track going to close for 3 years? We are continuing to operate on the schedule that the Huth family committed to through the end of the year. They hadn't booked anything into 2026 yet. We'll start taking bookings for 2026 based upon what work we need to do around it. And so streets will probably close for 2 months this summer because we actually will be focused on streets first.
Okay.
In terms of improvements.
Are you guys going to do a sort of intermediate improvement before you do the big thing?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Early activation. This will change a little bit, but we'll stay here. It'll just be a
please
little more
leave the
comfortable,
Corvette.
a little cleaner. You have
Don't take away my.
the montage to Bill Huth here on the wall, so we'll leave that. We'll do some stuff up at the Budweiser Clubhouse.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure allowed to talk about booze on TV
Oh
anymore.
yeah. No, we don't have an
Yeah,
FCC.
you don't have anything. So we'll make some improvements up there to get early activation out of. We'll build some temporary storage for cars. We'll improve security. We have a whole
safety improvements, yeah.
Safety is like the number one thing. So we're running the track very carefully right now. I think you mentioned it earlier. Our partner, Speedway Motorsports, and they run and own Sonoma and Las Vegas. This is like the perfect triangle for them.
Yeah.
And I think you know the Smiths.
Oh, I do.
And,
They know what they're doing.
Yeah, some of our. Well, you saw Marcus
we were
at,
just
at Laguna at Sonoma with me last year.
I did, and Zach and I just got to try out 10/10ths in
Yeah, you were
Charlotte.
there,
we were
right. I
there
missed
2
that.
weeks ago,
Yeah.
and it was really cool. A little roller coaster of a track.
Yeah, it's cool.
Have you been?
I have. Yeah.
It's a good time. We
Yeah.
got to drive a Roof SCR, which is a really neat,
Fantastic.
really neat little car. And we learned later the rear tires were about 8 psi too high, so the thing was like insanely tail happy. Yeah.
That looked like a really good. Did you guys go to the event?
It was nice.
Yeah,
It was
and
good.
I did the Bruce Meyer Award and
Yeah.
the whole thing. That looked like there was some great cars there as well.
There were some great cars at the concourse, but you know what happens when you do an event like that, even at a relatively small racetrack, it's amazing. You go, oh, there's 5,000 people here, but with that much space, it's like amazing how fast they sort of disperse. So they could probably triple the size of that event, and it would be just fine. But what a beautiful racetrack.
So 2 points to your prior comment. One was, some people want to be excluded and want to be private. That's probably not the right person for us if in our club membership. That person's not going to necessarily be happy here, ultimately, because that's not the community and the culture we want. The second point was to the Smiths. Though their ethos as a business and as a family, just the quality of human beings they are, fits so perfectly with Maz and my philosophy and why we get along so well. It's just we want to create something special that has longevity that our kids can be proud of long term here.
So run down the list real quick of the tracks. FIA2, fabulous. But there's so many other amenities that you guys have talked about putting in here. To the extent that you feel comfortable saying what will be here, what are we talking about?
We will have to build a proper paddock setup to support corporate, to support public events. We'll have to build something like that. The scale of what that is, how big it is, we're sitting where it's probably going to be ultimately.
There's only so many places it could go.
We can make track-related improvements, so garages, support facilities, paddock facilities, potentially clubhouses, with the current zoning that exists today. Beyond that, to build hospitality-oriented stuff, like potentially a hotel, which I think would be great down the road, where we have to go through a process with the county and find a way that it works for both of us.
Is that changing zoning or is it conditional use permits?
It's probably changing zoning. Yeah.
Fun.
Yeah.
Fun.
So when the track was developed, there wasn't zoning in Kern. So you can imagine.
Yeah, it just like doesn't exist.
And you have California CEQA, and you have all kinds of things you have to go through. So we want to do a bunch of improvements that can get us a quality experience out of the gate.
Right.
And then we'll go through that process, which could be as long as 18 months to 2 years, even with all the support from the county, assuming that we come to a conclusion on what the right things are to build.
Yeah. Well, this is like a majorly long-term project.
Yeah.
I mean, this is like, we're talking about a decade or something.
I would hope
right?
in 5 years that all those public facilities are basically completed or, far along in their development. Mm-hmm. There may be other pieces of it that, we have a lot of land here that would be down the road, but that would probably be in the second half of the decade.
School?
For sure,
Drivers educational facilities.
Driver's school, yeah. I think you saw we're planning on building a large format training facility on one of the two ovals. We'll keep one of the ovals. One of the ovals will become a training facility with kick plates, skid pads, the ability to water the entire facility. We'll be able to do insurance training, police and fire training, young kid driver ed, that type of stuff, which is a good business.
Yeah.
And if you look at the European tracks and how they're operated, they all run those types of programs, as well as race training and continuing ed for younger drivers, that type of thing.
Yeah, I mean, a facility of this size has been criminally underused. Yeah. I mean, with 3 tracks, how many? 5 tracks are here right now?
There's 7 actually. If you add them all up, plus the karting track.
Yeah, I mean, it's you. Even if you, I mean, my experience, I've been to a million track days here, private, public, whatever. If there was a club, and that club had access to streets on Wednesdays, and I'm at a public track day on big track, my experience is not any different than today. In fact, it's much better given what you're talking about doing. So, what are those? What are the techno guys like to say? 2/3 of a huge pie is way better than 100% of a tiny pie, right? Even if you have,
you might have a commercial being shot on the Horse Thief at the same time, right? That's a sort of iconic. If you go into any McLaren dealer's service shop, that's the photographs that are on the wall.
So many commercials.
Not that I've been in it.
You might have to
had to find a bathroom
that.
in one once.
You might have to stripe that like a road. That's what they do out at the Hyundai Proving Grounds. If you want a racetrack that looks like a road, the Hyundai Proving Grounds has one that they've striped, and so it looks like you're shooting a commercial on a road, but it's a track. Oh, cool. It's pretty cool. Yeah, it actually for production could be fun. Maz, have you guys thought about, I'm sure you've thought about, but to the extent that you're willing to share, what does a membership look like? What does a membership get you? Do you have to have a Singer vehicle design car?
No.
Okay.
No, absolutely not. So these guys run maybe the finest. You've been there.
Yellowstone Club, my head exploded.
Play Center.
My head exploded. It is the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life.
The idea that you could translate that, it's not just the facilities, right? Translate that to the car world, the kind of concierge.
Yeah, it's wild.
Version of dealing with your equipment, dealing with your race suit, your helmet, your gloves, sort of all that being taken care of, so you can come in, arrive, and drive. That's that convenience, making it very, very easy, right? To come in, you have a little bit of a home base. Whether it's a clubhouse or eventually, a place to stay overnight or store cars or whatever, that kind of thing is something that's not limited, obviously, to just our customers. I think anybody in anybody in sort of the business of having a bunch of cars and wanting to use them, and saving some time and convenience, and coming out to a place like this. Imagine a public event, a race, or a whatever it is, and you have the ability to kind of go back to the private area if you feel like it, where your stuff is, or come out and mingle. I mean, the whole thing it's an experience that we've been to a bunch of private, fully private clubs. They can be really quiet.
They are really quiet. Often they're really quiet.
Yeah.
If you're looking for quiet.
Even if you go out with 10 people,
maybe
there's only
that's okay.
10 of you, right?
Like I just said, how hard is it to fill a racetrack? You need so many people to make a racetrack look busy. But as of now, we are not suggesting that to get a membership, you will have to buy a property, right? Those are separate things, right?
There won't be a connectivity between those.
Yeah.
People that are members ultimately will have the first rights to buy garages, for example. The things that we can build today as of right with our building permit, those would be things that the members would get access to first.
Yeah.
Yep.
What, other than the history and the general track layout, as you wander the property and look at stuff, do you find anything where you go, we should keep this? This is something cool.
I think overall, the answer is yes. Like I mentioned, keeping the original big layout so that we can. That's kind of a nod to history because it's not. We could make it better. We could change it, but then it wouldn't be the same. So there'll be options to run the track in both directions. For example, there'll be options to have different configurations of the track. You could potentially even split it into two, but at its core, you can still run the same track that was being run in 1960.
Yeah.
I think, the more time I spend here, the less I want to scarify the earth, build tall buildings, build big things. Outside of maybe this western side of the property, the landscape is historically beautiful. It's cool. I mean, there's these foothills are very cool. We're going to have some off-road tracks in there as well to supplement the ones that are here today. But I don't want it to look like a large-scale development. I want you to be able to continue to see all of Big Willow from almost any locus around the track. For me, that's really important.
Yeah.
So sort of limiting the height of anything that does get built here.
Yeah. When you guys said that you had looked at so many other tracks, private clubs, did you see anything around those where you went, oh, that's a really good idea. We should do that?
Magarigawa in Japan.
That's the Japanese one, right? Yeah.
We've been there a few times.
Yeah.
What a spectacular and huge scale project that is. It looks like something Dubai would do.
Yeah.
I mean, there's giant they carved a racetrack out of mountains.
Yeah.
It's beautifully executed. It's quiet. I mean, it's purely private. But the way some of the things flow. I'll give you an example. They have condos there, and some of the owners have their cars stored in there, but they're all glassed in. So if you remember, you can sort of walk through a gallery of everybody else's cars.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, there's some pretty. They have an indoor pit lane, which may not work here, but it's magnificent.
So you indoor pit lane. So you drive into a tunnel that goes into a building.
You go up to a building. There's a plastic, sheer plastic roll up that goes up super quick. You pull in.
Wow.
If it's hot, if it's cold, if it's whatever.
Is it air conditioned?
It's fully climate controlled. You get out of your car, there's like sofas and drinks. It doesn't look like a pit lane, but you just
drive into a nice living room and
it looks like a fabulous car gallery.
That's crazy until you have a car fire in there. Man, when you pull into a pits and all of a sudden the car's on fire and now your clubhouse is burning.
You can tell they're expecting it. There's a bunch of ventilation and all that.
Oh, that's pretty cool. It's too bad we don't have a visual aid day today. Normally we've got our screen, we could look at stuff, but damn, that's sick.
You can look it up. It may not be practical here, but it's really the idea of that experience being something that's very.
Dude,
special.
to their credit, I lightly crapped on them before, but to their credit, Thermal does an amazing job in their pit lane with the swamp coolers, the misters, the chilled towels, the pit crew that checks your tires and does your windows, the fridges of drinks all right there. I mean, that's great. The big shades, like that's pretty good stuff.
Yeah.
That's all A-level stuff, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
That's the blocking and tackling from my perspective in terms of what we have to deliver to a member to make that experience valuable.
Yeah. And I remember it was sort of in casual conversation, Sam, but you said something to me about you wanted it to be open to a place where we could have cars and coffees, and you could allow, car clubs or whoever, SoCal people to come use the parking lot. Like, there will be a restaurant that the public can come in and eat at.
Restaurant.
Yeah, basically.
For the time being.
Basically,
in the short term, food trucks, we're gonna try to kick off that activation in early October, and we hope to have a great community out here, and then have regular cars and coffee opportunities, a little bit more family oriented maybe than some. We don't need a lot of people creating accidents on the way out of here. It's limited, but it's what you see online.
Yeah, I'll tell you. I think one of the ways that you might be able to mitigate, just the fact that you have this long driveway between here and the road. No one's gonna rip it in the paddock. I think.
Well, and then
it's all gonna happen on that driveway.
Some asshole's gonna do it.
But if the road is so far away, then no one's showing off way over there because the crowd's here. That's the problem with the cars.
How about you do
We'd
a
like to
launch
see it
box
regular.
on property, one at a time? You get a launch right here.
Oh yeah.
It
is a racetrack.
It is a racetrack. Just let people do that before they get to the public road.
Be interesting. Yeah, that would be.
Get it out of your system.
You'd be the first people to go. You know what? Here,
Yeah.
You've got a little skid pad between here and the road.
But you need to run into something. So we could set up bushes and some other stuff for a
You know
Mustang
what?
to go
That's right.
smash into.
Listen, Australia is very inspirational in this regard. Let's go. Oh man, that would be a fun one.
It
That
feels
would
like
be
it's
good,
close
yeah.
enough to LA that you could do something every month and really make it special.
Yeah, it's not too
sure.
far. And it's
Yeah.
such a great, for me, and I'm jaded, the cars and coffees I go to are the ones that have a good drive to get there. I don't go to the ones in the city because I don't need to go up Fairfax to go to a cars and coffee. I love you, Peterson Museum, but that drive stinks. Up Little Ethiopia, the one in a Kuntrash, killed me. Sam, I want you to brag for a minute. It's not a thing you do. You're a mild guy, but you are a car collector. I have two of your cars under my care, which is a real treat. They're two of my favorite cars to look at: the '73 RS Lightweight and the 1952 Hudson Hornet NASCAR. Actually, I'm going to throw me and Sam under the bus. We were out here a month ago when they first were doing things, and we brought out this Hudson Hornet, and I ran 2 laps in it. It's like any car from 1952. It runs beautifully, but 7 different people try to get it into reverse to back it into the garage.
I did do it.
Sam eventually did, but it took him a long time. I was unable to. All the cars I drive couldn't get this thing in reverse. 2 other people tried. They couldn't do it. Back at the shop, I talked to my 3 guys at the shop, and I go, hey, guys, you boys ever have a problem getting this car into reverse? And they looked at me like Lawrence asked if he had a case of the Mondays in Office Space. No. Why would we have a problem with that? Of course, goes into reverse. And they proceed to just right away and just 3-point back it up into its spot. I'm all right, that's why you guys have this.
I'm going to need a lesson in that because I've signed that car. I got accepted to do the Going to the Sun rally in that car.
No, is that the one where you're
Out of Bozeman,
where you
up
go
to-
flat? Going to the Sun.
Going to the Sun, not the brand.
I'm thinking of that Sun Valley.
That's the top speed.
The top speed
thing.
thing. I was 52. Let's
Yeah.
see what it'll do.
I'm going to go Going to the Sun in September in that car with my son.
What are the requirements for that event?
50-year-old car.
Okay.
And then it's just they have a committee that picks who gets to go, and I think they limit it to 30 cars.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
That'll be great.
It should be fun.
Yeah, as long as
Yeah.
you find reverse.
That car will live out here.
Okay.
That car is an interesting story. I was looking. I answered an ad for someone who had a low mileage purple 944 turbo, and I was like, I got to go see this thing. And when I got to it, I was like, oh, the colors. I just can't handle it. I can't drive that. It was just too much. The interior was purple too, but it was a cool car. And I looked in the corner of the building, and I'm like, what is that covered up over there? And the guy said, oh, this is this 51 Hornet that was a Herb Thomas tribute car built out of 3 cars, and it was the first car built by a guy called Mark Allen, who had left Paul Russell and Company 22 years ago for a dealer in Massachusetts, and it's been sitting for a long time. And I was like, that thing's just spectacular. We've got
It's
to
so
get
cool
that
looking.
thing out to Willow. Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be perfect like as a display.
Yeah, it's a
here
display
once in
car.
a
Yeah,
while.
it's not subtle with the
No, but
the
and you
markings.
should like cruise Pebble Beach in it.
Yeah,
maybe
I'm
this
taking
year.
it. We're taking it to Monterey.
Are you?
Yeah.
Oh, that'll be
yeah.
fun.
And we'll put a Willow Springs sticker on there
Vintage
and
livery.
stuff. Yeah.
Hell yeah, that's gonna be
be
so
cool.
fun. Okay,
Yeah.
what else is in the garage that I haven't seen?
I collect what I love, and I drive them. So I'm not like they're not total garage queens. I wish I had more time. This weekend I drove. It was an all P car weekend. I'd just come back from Maz and I went to talk to some OEMs at Bahrain for F1, and I just come back and I was like, I got to get out driving. So I took out a classic 993. That got me going again, and then I got my ST out for the first time. It had not been driven yet.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I was trying to. I couldn't remember if it was 7,000 RPM, and I was jet lagged. I went the wrong way on the highway and didn't realize I'd gone the wrong way. But pretty impressive. And so that was Saturday, and then Sunday I took out the 2019 Speedster, which Maz and I both agree is maybe it's definitely in the top 5 all-time Porsche cars for us.
They're good.
It's a great car. And so those two, I'm a 993 guy, so we've talked about this. I have a number of unique 993s and, turbos and C4Ss and weird stuff. And then early Porsche rally cars. So I have one of the rally package cars from 72 that has the oil filler external.
Oh,
oil
yes. I
filler
think
cap.
I think that's 72.
That car's, one of my favorites to drive.
Sick.
And of course the lightweight, as you said.
That
I only
is
got that car.
unbelievable,
Joe
that
McCurry
car.
found me that car this year, who was another relationship I met through Maz. We were ice driving at Richard Tudhill's place, and I overheard him talking on the phone about taking it in trade. And I sat him down with a bottle of wine. I said, we're not leaving here until it cost me a pretty penny, but I had to have that car.
That car is unbelievable. No radio,
it's great.
any, just
You got
dashboard.
to drive it here, right? Did you get to
I
drive it?
didn't drive it because Dwayne was driving it and the shifter linkage was wonky
that's
or
right.
something. The most I've done is I unloaded it from the trailer and parked it in its space. But you look at that car and you go, every Porsche sports car of the last 50 years is just chasing this. This is the thing. They're all trying to be that.
And once you're in it, you realize it's
Yeah.
a sublime driving
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
so good. It does it. You don't think about it. It's completely timeless.
Yeah.
Well, you saw I had my John Wilhoit 57 Speedster, which was a great car before, but now is like that's a sublime driver with the Wilhoit 2.2 and his suspension in it.
Yeah, that's a monster car
It's just
now.
a wonderful car.
I think Spike's car is similar. I think he has the same suspension in that and it's like 160 horsepower.
Well,
It's like a
I don't know if
monster.
you were here when Jimmy Johnson had it going 140 miles
No,
an hour.
I was here the next day. I was
Yeah.
here the next day.
He got in a lot of trouble for that. No helmets and a supermodel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jimmy Johnson can do pretty much whatever he likes.
Not here, apparently. we didn't own it at the time.
Oh, yeah,
He
now-
got in a lot of trouble. He did.
Twice.
He did. Twice. Yeah. He also took. Was that the turbo?
He and I were chasing each other once, but he was out, and he got yelled at.
No helmet.
multiple
times.
Like, and by the way, that was just stupid. And he would be the first to tell you it was stupid. He wouldn't do it again.
Yeah, but like you get in the zone. What are you gonna do? You got this car. You got this model next to you. They're on an empty racetrack. Come on.
Did they even wear helmets
We've
back
all
then?
been there. No, they wore like a leather hat.
Like leather football helmet. Exactly.
Yeah, and they wanted to be thrown clear if things went wrong. Maz, can I invite you to talk a little bit of shit? Why is it that so many people are trying, in my opinion, unsuccessfully to either copy what you guys are doing, and some people do different things and do them well. Oh no, shit. I'm gonna grab a napkin. Hang on. I have a long microphone. Why some people do them well, but so many people are trying to crib this, doing a poor job of it. And what do you see as the real special sauce that makes it uncopyable about a Singer vehicle design restoration? Because I do feel that no one's gotten there.
Well, I mean, there's some folks out there that are chasing something they think is very cool,
Uh-huh.
and they're inspired and they're having fun. There are some people out there that are clearly just kind of doing it for the money or trying to make a buck, or it's a business plan, and we can go do something like these guys and sell a few of them, and it, to me they're fairly obvious. They're easy to tell apart. Why are we good at what we do? I mean, part of it is just it's been 15 years of committing.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit
24
of a
hours a day
loaded
to it.
question. Why are you good at what you do? I mean, there's the everything is important philosophy, but it just seems that what you guys sell is a more complete product than anybody else.
It's thorough.
Yeah.
So Rob and I are. I mean, it's like a place to get our OCD out, but it doesn't. It's not limited to just how the car looks, right? Now, I would say it starts with how the car looks.
Yeah.
Rob has the ability. He's like a.
Someone is like falling asleep on their horn outside,
Yeah,
but it's okay. People will just have to deal with it.
He's a guy who can write hit songs. Like he's one of the best designers in the world, maybe one of the best ever. That's not something I just made up. We interact with the design teams we get visits from everybody.
Yeah.
And name a car company or a shoe company or whatever who hasn't visited us to want to understand like how we go about getting our point of view into this, into these things. So he's really, really talented. And he's also, and I would say this is what happens in the rest of the business, he dedicates a tremendous amount of time to detail. So if you think about the exterior of a car, could be 150 components. Every single radius, every single part is deeply, deeply considered for a lot of time. It takes a vast amount of time, which a lot of people don't have. Even other car companies don't have. They need to get to the next job and the next job. So we do that on the underneath the skin as well. So everything is really, really deeply considered. Even things you'll never see, unless you have a terrible accident or whatever. We really pay attention. It's kind of like a watch movement, right?
Yeah.
You know it's in there. You can't really see it, but we develop to that level.
When I drove Sam's Turbo, which was very brief, 10 minutes in the wet on the
It has stability control.
on the worst place you want to be in the wet. It was fine, and it was a very new car, so I was not doing anything that was strenuous on it. But I came away from that, and the overwhelming experience was that what made that car special is that it's the first time I've ever driven any restored car at any price point in any manufacturer where you genuinely couldn't tell there was a car there before, which to me was a real turning point in modification of vehicles. I've never experienced that before. I imagine that's not on accident.
No, I mean every single thing has been addressed. It's still there's a 964 under there, trailing arms, control arms.
Yeah, but you can't
from
to sit in
Zone
it and like touch stuff and look at stuff and hear the engine and turn you cannot tell anything was there.
Everything has been massaged. It's very, very deliberate. Whether it's a pedal pressure or what you feel in a door panel.
Yeah.
How it feels when you push on it. Inspired by a Chiron, actually. If you go sit in a Bugatti, some of these things feel like they're made out of leather is covering granite or something.
Yeah.
Like we really wanted that old school German highway cruiser feel. Like it felt like you were driving a piece of marble down the road, right? That was very deliberate. It's not there's nothing in there that's by accident.
Yeah.
At all.
I really look forward to our longer drive in the dry on what are we driving? The Tokyo, the white one?
It's white
Tokyo?
and green. It's a bit sporty, sports seats.
Yeah.
It's a great car. It's actually the very first one.
Are we out of names for cars yet? We're out of major
The
cities,
buyers,
certainly.
The buyers name them.
Are they repetitive? Do you allow people to repeat?
They wouldn't let me.
They wouldn't?
I tried, yeah.
What did you, oh shit, what did you get? What is your car called?
The first one is called the Rock Lake Edition.
Okay.
Which is a lake in Montana that I go to.
Okay, and what's the turbo? Does that have a name?
That's the turbo.
Oh, that is the turbo.
The
Okay.
classic is called the Quarano because it's the city in which where Laura Piano was formed, and they've helped us with that car.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Sure, I'm
Cool.
allowed to say that.
Some of them are cities. Some of them are just cool names. Some of them are just numbered.
Yeah.
We obviously have a numbering system internally, and it's really for the customer to do that or not.
Okay. So Sam, what do you want to, say to someone who is listening to all this and rolling their eyes and going, you know what? All that sounds really nice, but like, there goes my affordable track day. What do you have for those folks?
I think if you're a PCA member, a POC member, FCA member, any one of those, you're gonna have the same access you had here, and it's gonna be better. And you might pay a little bit more for it, but it's not gonna be unobtainable. I know we're talking about a lot of fancy stuff, but that is not the bread and butter business that you have to be in to make these things work. It can't just be dues supported. You can't run food and beverage outlets just off of a couple hundred members that come 25 days a year. It just doesn't work. So that will be a big part of the business. There'll be the section of the track that we're in now, that's the sort of public section, that will continue to be the public section of the track.
Do you see for members, because you have so many tracks here, 3 legit road courses, do you see it being like member 365 track access? It'll rotate which track based on day of the week or whatever to keep it variety, and the other ones will be available for rent? Or is that kind of how you see it, or is there going to be a more reduced number of member days?
You'll always have a motorsports experience available to you when you come as a member. So it might be an off-road
Got to
day.
read between the lines a little bit, but okay.
I mean, it's not meant to. It's when we look at it, I originally come at it thinking we're going to have one track that's always going to be available to members. That's what you and I talked about. They don't really want it.
Oh.
And
really?
It's not like on that random Monday in the summer when it's 115 degrees out here, we might want to have a photo or a film shoot going on.
All right.
So I wouldn't say 365, but you will never come and not have something you can do, and your kid will never not have access to a experience for them, something that they can do, whether it's simulator training, whether it's on the kart track, whether it's going and wrenching on something in the service side of the facility. There'll be some programming that will always be available to you, and virtually all the time there will be one of the tracks available, at least on a half-day basis, to members.
And any exceptions? Maybe imagine a multi-day event. You'll know.
If you had Speed Week here, we only talked about there seems to be a gap in the schedule in January and February in motorsports, and the U.S. just doesn't have this place where enthusiasts can all go. That's not brand specific, where you can, like a Goodwood, where you can go and all the brands all feel like they need to be there. In a long-term vision here, we would love to have the placemaking that allows for something like that to happen.
Yeah, a few people are trying to do a quote Goodwood. No one's quite gotten it yet.
It took them 20 years, right?
Right. I think it takes a long time to build that as well.
Yeah. I also think it's a different look. It's like grass and trees and shit over there.
Goodwood is a place.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
But to have a multi-day motorsports event, with historic cars and new cars and all of that in Southern California, I mean, it's doable. It's dying for it.
Totally doable.
Yeah, we think there's a lot of places we can build to get people out of the sun. We can have facilities where there's camping here now, right? There's RV pads. There's a lot of things we can do to make for a great experience in that regard.
Well, Velocity is cool, but it's far. I mean, from SoCal, it's 8 to 9 hour drive.
It also doesn't have a home base, right?
It doesn't have a home base. It does move around, but it's like the places it has been have been in Northern California, which is quite far from the SoCal car community.
Yeah.
Do you guys see other like mixed use, such as like having concerts and stuff like that here, or not?
We don't see music because I don't think the county really is supportive of it. So we want to be a good neighbor, and when they've tried in the past, they've had some chaos here. So we'll probably sit back on that one and just focus on the motorsport enthusiasts for a while.
Yeah. Have you, as someone who has bought an old building and renovated it, you bought a very old place, you're going through it, without being too mean about it, has there been any "you're not going to believe what we found in here" conversations?
I have given my business. I was a liquidation guy, a workout guy, a distressed debt guy. I've seen so much worse. I had much lower expectations. Turns out things are pretty good here. They just haven't been improved. They've been maintained. They just haven't been improved in 60 years.
Okay.
during the course of my life. We found nothing yet that's shocked us.
Okay.
And we've dug lots of holes. I mean, it took, I think I talked to you, we got together in August.
Yeah.
And I said we were buying it. And everyone was giving me kind of strange looks, but we got together in Monterey, and it took us this long to get it done.
Yeah, it's like 8 months. Yeah.
There were a lot of things that the former owner had to clear up.
Yeah. Have you inherited any fun and interesting vehicles that were scattered about the property?
There's one. What did I tell you? We found a Bianchi.
An Auto Bianchi.
An Auto Bianchi.
Yeah,
and
like a micro car.
I don't know if it's still here, but I think I've shared with you that I have this weird affiliation for affinity for post-war micro cars.
Yeah.
And
were we talking about the micro car museum? There's a micro car museum somewhere. I don't.
Cars like an Isetta.
My wife would tell you it's in my warehouse.
Oh yeah, you have an Isetta.
I have a few Isettas, and I have Fiat Multipla.
Yeah, Hannah
drive.
Hannah really tried to get me to bid on the 4-seat, 4-passenger. I think it's an Isetta 600.
600. I
the
have
one
one.
at
They
Pebble.
call it the limousine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Imagine how painful the death would be in that
And
car.
It's going to be quick. It's going to be quick, though.
Yeah.
Your head would be crushed, and then you would be trapped, and then you would burn to death.
We go to family.
At 14 miles an hour,
We
by
go
the
to
way.
family dinner, but we never leave our hometown.
As fast as you can run.
We go to family dinner in the Multipla. We put 6 people in the Multipla and take it to dinner. It's fabulous.
If you have never seen a Fiat, is it the weird one that looks like it's going backwards?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
you Google Fiat Multipla van, and it is the strangest looking.
I love it.
It literally looks like it's driving down the road in reverse.
It was
weird.
designed when they were trying to support post-war Europe to be a car that a tradesman could use during the week, and then on the weekend they were trying to support the middle class. So it was the most affordable sort of post-war Marshall Plan-y type thing, and it was important for Italy for that reason.
I've only ever seen a couple of them on the street.
Yeah.
They're rare now, but man, are they cool.
You see them over there.
Yeah.
You see them over there.
Yeah. Where are all the micro cars? They in Montana?
No, Boston.
They're in Boston?
Yeah.
Oh man, if I have a reason.
get you out there.
Me
Come
and
on.
Hannah have to come drive that Isetta.
We'll do a show.
She won't have the urge anymore after that. She won't want one. She has this little Nissan POW, which is the Japanese version of that, and 57 horsepower. Oh yes,
I'm still looking for the Messerschmitt. The one that.
Oh, you know who's got them is Bo Bachman at Galpin. He's got a couple of Messerschmitts. Yeah, he likes. He's got a couple of Peels also.
He's got a bunch.
What else does he have? I think he has an Auto Bianchi too. He's got at least like 10 micro
he does.
cars.
I'm going to go look for the Auto Bianco.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure we did get it. I don't know that we'll ever be able to find a title, so we'll have to go.
Oh, we got a bond. Let's go. Whatever.
We'll have to go talk to the registrar.
Turn
in
into a race
Montana.
car. You don't need a title.
It put a cage in it and exoskeleton. It'd be amazing.
There's something so satisfying about trying to work on and restore one of those cars because you can actually do it. You know, there's something that I'm actually capable of doing in my garage and distracting my brain from everything else that's going on in my
Are you a wrench?
I try to.
Okay.
Yeah, I try to.
Good.
I got a couple. I have the one of the Isettas, the 300, is taken apart right now, and I'm struggling with a
The
part.
300 is the traditional
Yep.
Steve Urkel
Just
Isetta.
the two-door.
Yeah.
I don't.
Two-door. We keep saying
Yeah,
two-door. It's
two-door.
one door.
The two-door is the 600 limousine. Yeah.
And that has what one side in the
One
back?
side only.
One side in the
Yeah.
back opens. Yeah. Funky. Yeah, really crazy.
They're so cool though.
Yeah, they're amazing. If you want to ask questions of our guests for the show, if you want to listen to the live stream when we can do it, we don't have live streaming internet here in Rosamond yet. We will soon, I imagine. If you want to get the show ahead of time, if you want to get the show without ads, if you want to get access to special merch drops and collabs, patreon.com/The Smoking Tire Podcast is where you do it. And we have some good questions for the show today. And I did not get my glasses. Oh, we're back. Okay. Grilled Tail of the Dragon. They have fun usernames. So, as someone who recently got into HPDE events and had a hard time figuring out what to do, are there plans to do some events organized by the track itself rather than third-party track day companies? This is a question that comes up a lot. Apparently, like, doing a track day with a track day, that's not an intuitive process at all.
You mean through a club, through a
Basically, the question is,
club,
will
or
the track
service?
be organizing its own track days as opposed to renting itself out to a club who then sells individual
I
spaces?
think most of the events here on the weekends were done by like Speed Secrets or some
They
third
were.
party.
Yeah. They
Yeah.
were, yeah. This idea that I was, reading a lot on social media that people would just come up and make a payment. They weren't paying the Huth family. They were paying somebody else
Right.
who was renting the track and providing the insurance. Yeah. This was a big topic with Speedway of conversation yesterday, so we want to try to do it. And it's just a question of how it fits into the schedule and when you can, they would, some sort of test and tune thing or some form of ability for people to run the track safely.
This is interesting. We are going to need more Advil. That's the username. Also true for me. Wants to know about big picture racetrack solvency issues. For instance, my local track just went to a rather pricey membership model, only offering basic single lap HPDE 1 day a week to non-members. In a racetrack, what keeps the lights on and what are the big costs, generally speaking? Would love to have even a basic explanation about how a track stays in business versus folds.
So let's take 3 different verticals. So the public vertical, where however they access it through a PCA, FCA, a POC, or through somebody who puts on track days, that's one vertical, right? So that's a big revenue generator, and you're making money with food and beverage. You're making money with track rental. You're trying to run the track as efficiently as possible. In the U.S., they typically don't let 2 people run simultaneously on a track, even though they may only use it in 20-minute increments of each hour.
Right.
And so in Europe, they do it differently. In Austria, they'll run all 3 20-minute intervals with 3 different people. We're going to try to be more efficient than the traditional track and make that business more sustainable. The second piece is what we're calling our OEM or our and we'll rent space to the OEMs. We'll rent, Singer will have a customer experience center here. That will be really cool. I can't talk about the other ones yet, but there will be others that are here that will have facilities here, both the vehicle level manufacturers and then people that support them, tires and whoever else it might be. And so that will be a more permanent revenue source, leasing space to those folks. Car storage, huge thing. I think I've shared with you, we do have a partnership I can't announce yet, but it's not around so much storage, but around someone who's a big name in the industry. And that'll come out in September. But we may have as much as 1,000 cars of storage here for both entities and for individuals, and that's ultimately the goal. Really good business to store cars for people, look after them as you're in the business and you're sold out.
I am very
right?
well aware. Yeah.
And hopefully we'll do something. You and I have talked about maybe doing something together. And then the club business, we really want the club model to be a break-even model. That's all you really are trying to achieve in that, and it takes a while to get to that natural break-even point. But you want it to break even, but you want that dues. The membership deposits that people are paying to get access to basically go to build the improvements and to do a lot of the track improvements.
So if you don't have any one of those hoses going into the bucket, does the model not really? I mean, because that's a whole bunch of stuff.
It's if you talk to it's a complicated business to run.
Yeah,
and it will be a real business. But if you talk to Speedway and you look at the operating performance of Vegas and Sonoma, they're the best comps for us. They're great businesses, and they run them very efficiently. They took over the operation entirely at Sonoma in 2019, and it's a real business.
Do you think that the success or the failure of a racetrack, assuming it's in a good market, has to do really with how well they're optimizing the use of that? I mean, it's very basic to say that, but
yeah, and capital.
Yeah,
right. They were undercapitalized. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and also the market has changed. Maz was, the amount of people who have bought cars that need to be stored. You and I talked about this. Maz and I have talked about this. The amount of people who want to have an experience with their car that you cannot have on the road, that has increased dramatically in the last decade. Like the numbers, more of those cars have been sold in the last 10 years than the entirety of history prior.
Track day cars,
high-end performance collector cars, for example, new builds or high-end resto mods.
I would also argue that a lot of tracks are not in the easiest areas.
Yeah,
they're far. I mean, Buttonwillow's far.
Yeah,
right. this is, I mean, the location of this place can't be ignored. It's kind of perfect.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's an hour and a half out of town.
Yeah.
There's 18 million people with a 90-minute drive.
Yeah.
And there's, with 2-hour drive, there's 2.5-hour drive, there's 23 million people.
I've never driven from San Diego to here. Is there a better way to do it than through LA?
I don't know.
There isn't?
I don't know.
This question I don't think is accurate, but Nice Cams says, why are the noise ordinances in California so restrictive? I don't think it's California. I think it's Laguna Seca and only Laguna. What other tracks have noise restrictions in California? They don't here.
California, I don't know.
They
We
don't
heard
at
yesterday from
Buttonwillow.
Speedway that they don't at Sonoma.
They don't at Sonoma.
Yeah,
they don't.
they
They've
don't.
never had noise
Don't-
restrictions
no,
at
don't
Sonoma.
know. I think it's
just
I think
Laguna.
it's where you have neighbors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our planners are the people that built that large community, the reserve, or the Santa Lucia Preserve, around that track. And it wasn't until that neighborhood got established that they started to have real problems.
When I run for president, any racetrack that was there first, you don't get to complain about. I'm running on that. If they build the racetrack after your house is there, like, okay, complain. But like, if it was there first, you knew it was there.
And you got my vote.
Yeah, that's my platform. Ted Stryker. We may have already covered this sort of, but what would need to be done to have a future where NASCAR, IMSA, or IndyCar has a Willow race on their calendar?
You'd have to spend some money to get them here.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, NASCAR dates are worth a fortune. It's the date that has value, not the track.
Say that again. It's the date that
Date has value. Owning the date is the valuable thing. So if you talk to Speedway, for example, they rent out COTA for the date that they own for the race in Texas. Yeah.
That makes sense.
And there's more road tracks being used in NASCAR now, which I think is great.
Yeah.
Obviously,
I went to that Texas race. That's where I met Marcus.
Yeah.
That Texas race was awesome.
fantastic.
Insane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think
We were there at the same time, right? Yeah, we had dinner.
Yep.
I think
Jensen was racing.
I think the product is great, and they're doing a lot of cool things with it. They've sort of solved the economic model, and so we would love to see something like that here. But I think it'd be very hard to get a date. People have approached us because Southern California is lacking for major events, so it might be MotoGP or something like that. But the question is, how much money do you want to put into giving your track away and having it cost you money and taking all the risk on ticketing? Yeah. And I think that's something we'll have to just consider down the road. Smaller format stuff, I think, would be great.
Yeah.
Well, you said earlier that the safety will be built up to FIA 2.
Eventually, not in this first phase.
Okay.
We're just we're spending a bunch of money on tire walls and a whole bunch of stuff to make it safe enough.
That's right now.
Right now.
Got
but
it.
then when the full renovation of the Big Willow gets done, and that isn't necessarily every one of the tracks is FIA 2. But the goal would be ultimately to have the Big Willow be FIA 2. So those are the types. So you can't have Formula 1, but you can have virtually anything else.
Got it.
You have IMSA, SRO.
Cool.
Yeah. Tim A, which is pronounced Timmer, Seinfeld, guest on episode 999 a couple weeks ago, is not a fan of resto-modded Porsches. What Singer vehicle design build would you put him in to convince him he's wrong?
I want to give you a good
I don't know him at all, but
I said don't. He
Never
must
met
not
him.
have driven one yet.
I would say a
understand
DLS. I think a DLS would probably do it.
I mean, the DLS is kind of an exaggeration. I mean, it's pretty spectacular.
Yeah.
Turbo is, well, you've driven a turbo. But
Well,
I don't know.
because it would the turbo would seem the turbo really does seem like if Porsche were allowed to build a 930 turbo today, that's what they would do. It really does seem like that. So it is that good. That's probably why.
I was telling a friend of mine, a good friend of mine who's a collector back east, I said, don't drive this when it comes, because you're going to have to find a way to buy one.
Yeah.
You're
That's what
you're going to need it.
That's what I just told Graham about my Spider, because
Yeah.
Graham Smith has a Cayman GT4, and he's like, "Oh, can I try that?" I was like, "Listen, you better be ready, because you don't try this car and then you don't end up
You
buying one."
convinced me to buy one on the cheap, and I'm grinding it into the ground before I send it to Damon and having.
Oh, are you starting with a car you already have?
Correct.
Oh,
now I have it, but it was after watching one of your things
Yeah.
in the fall, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to go out and source one.
It's a GT4 or a Spider?
GT4.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're gonna love it.
Yeah.
It's the
and
best.
it was my color. It was exactly what I wanted. So
What color?
It's deep sea blue metallic, which
Oh, yeah.
is sort of my my conservative thing.
It's a good color.
Yeah, great color.
Yeah. You're you're gonna love it. It's awesome. Okay. Okay. The Pink Pony Car Club has a lot of words here, but basically, I'm gonna pivot the question slightly to. I'm sure Maz gets asked all the time. The Singer vehicle design treatment for cars that are not 911s. They're not Porsches even. I'm sure people approach you. Why don't you do it this? Why don't you do this? Why don't you do this? And there's a lot of reasons not to do those things.
I said,
Surprise.
There's a lot of reasons not to, but
Alcoholics, I would say that would be the car I want.
Alcoholics does a nice job.
Yeah.
Amazing.
They do a nice
That's
job.
the car I
Yeah.
want. There's one at auction in the next 2 weeks. So.
There's other folks that do great jobs at doing other cars as well.
I would just make a point there though that, and this is the thing that I've had to understand better, is the amount of money these guys spend on engineering.
Right.
It's one thing. I just did a resto mod with a great builder in Chicago, Tim Olson. Fantastic car, but it's basically taking components that other people build, and you're taking a chance on what they're all going to feel like when you
This
put
is a
them
Porsche.
together. Yeah, Pre-Varium 993, 95 convertible.
Oh,
right? So it was a
good
gift.
times.
It was a gift for my wife's big birthday. Yeah.
Okay.
And so, but that is not anything remotely like what they do. And so that you can rest them on a whole bunch of things, but if you're not spending literally tens of millions of dollars on engineering with Bosch and everyone else to make it perfect, it's not going to be this car.
No, that's what it takes.
Well, how much? Okay, but back to the question: how much of your company's ability to do what they do stems directly from the fact that you're starting with Porsche 911s?
Well, I mean, it's sort of it's the most iconic sports car ever.
Right.
That helps. But significantly, it's a tremendous car.
That's
The 964 is a very, very, very good.
That's
car.
what I mean. Starting with a fundamentally good car versus poor John Ward over here doing Broncos.
I mean, let me tell you,
unshitboxing is the worst.
We
right?
talk about and fantasize, a DB4 GT and a Countach and a Ferrari Daytona. And how fabulous would it be if we could? I mean, everyone would take 5 years, right? But they're not what a 964 is, which is like I said, a fundamentally fantastic thing.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cheating, right? So you get to go and take this thing that's already great and start to, make improvements where you can make improvements.
Plus, because the 911 from the factory was changed so little for so long, that things like backdating, even if you're not using the actual backdate parts and you're implying a backdate from across the room, right? You can do that with a 911. How do you backdate a Ferrari that has a new body style every 7 years? That are totally new bodies. You try to put Testarossa side strakes on a 458, it'll look insane. It won't look right at all.
No. I mean, they iterated that car from 1963 to 1998.
So what other cars what other cars had hugely long production runs in which you could mix and match visual elements to create a best of in the way that to totally diminish what you're doing, but visually it's sort of a best of?
Well, the only things that have continued are Mustangs and Corvettes,
right?
911s
and pickup.
Well,
trucks.
things where you have this car that just iterates, in one form or another. But Porsche did something in 1988, the 3.2 Carrera, and then they did the 964 in 89. Under the same bodywork, you had a completely different car, which is unheard of. I don't know that that's ever been done. You can just go. You can open up the same.
I'll give you one. Because you have challenged me. The Ferrari Mondial. They turned the engine from transverse to longitudinal when they went to the Mondial T.
Huh.
Yeah. So when they went from Mondial to Mondial T, the powertrain went from a 328 powertrain transverse to a 348 powertrain longitudinal, and the exterior bodywork exactly the same.
So if you take a 3.2 Carrera and a 964, put them next to each other, open the front, same piece of metal, the entire stamping of the entire chassis is completely different from each other. The suspension is different. Everything is fundamentally different, but you can take the doors and exchange them. I mean, I can't imagine that's been done somewhere else. And I don't know if that was done, if that was the sort of financial condition of Porsche at the time. I know that that had a lot to do with the limitations to the 993 changes, but that's really the opportunity. That may be why there's a bunch of people backdating 911s, because
it's possible.
You can't really do it on other stuff so easily, right?
Yeah.
And those cars, the original cars, the 60s cars were beautiful. They were very pretty, right? And, you kind of want to go back to that. Some of them got kind of plasticky and big over time, right?
Can we real quick talk about interiors? Because of all the things I saw at your factory 2 weeks ago, saw a lot of pretty cars. I was a little disappointed with what your customers are choosing to paint their cars, but I understand that this is their subtle car for a lot of people, so it's a subtle colors. I like them
You
loud.
want it a little flashier?
A little flashier for that kind of money, for that kind of I would go big, but that's just me. The most impressive thing I saw was the guy who turned woven leather into Pasha. How?
Well, that guy is us.
Well, that's the guy, but there was a guy working on it when but Pasha, the stripes aren't even; they get wider and more narrow, and someone had woven that into leather, and I don't actually know how
Did you
that
see
was.
it installed in the orange car?
I didn't see it in the car. I only saw it. I
Come
saw
see
it
that
laid
car.
out.
That car's done. I saw it yesterday.
Is it the craziest fucking
It's
thing?
fantastic. It's super cool.
What you guys
really
have
hard.
done with weaving leather, when you went first from just the weave till then you made plaid out of woven leather, or a tartan where it's a gradient and stripes and nuts, to now do that. What is pushing what's pushing the evolution of weaving leather?
Well, it's not just really weaving leather, but see, part of the experience for our customers is that they get to go and really thoroughly design something. They really, really get to make it theirs. Sometimes they bring in their family, their wife, a designer, whatever it is. But that's there's some folks always sort of pushing, how, can we try this? Can we try that? So and we'll do that certainly on things like interiors. We won't do that with body work or anything heavy. But the Pasha thing was something we looked at. It might have been I forgot who first got us to look. It might have been Dario. First, he never did it, but I think he asked us if we could.
Dario is a man of taste. I'm not surprised.
That's for sure.
He is a man of taste. We got to get him back here. Yeah.
We'll have him here.
Yeah, he's the man. He just did some content with Johnny Smith.
Yeah,
that
was great.
That looks like fun. Yeah, I love Johnny Smith. We got to get him back here too. Boys, we're gonna wrap this one up, and I really appreciate your time this morning, and I'm so excited to see what happens here. I will be utilizing the place all the time. You're gonna have to kick me out. I'll pitch a tent somewhere. Where do you want to leave this? Where do we want to walk away from this conversation? The Southern California car community, a few might be able to afford memberships, most can't, but they all want to see this place.
There'll be a home for you.
Yeah.
There'll be a home for you. Like, it really should be about a great enthusiast place. And I want to thank you. You've been super helpful in referring me to people. There's been so many people that have come out of the woodwork that I didn't know over the last year that have been helpful in giving us advice. I would say, like, Zach Brown turned us on to Alex Wirtz, who's been a gift to us in terms of safety and experience, having run all these tracks in Germany and Austria historically, and then just so many others. It's been great. So you've been a contributor there. So you'll always be welcome here, Matt.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
We will take your track time. Thank you very much. And Maz, thanks very much. I can't wait. We're going to go out on Friday with the white car. There will be video. I'm super stoked to spend a little more seat time in that. It was the taste I got was fabulous, but also a little bit glazed over with pressure because it was his brand new car.
Mine might have been overly conservative too.
It was brand new car. It was in the wet. It was
subtle interior on
it was
mine.
very much don't break this because
They're meant to be driven.
driven.
But
I think he got
driven,
it that day.
Yeah, I know.
Is that right?
I got it one track day prior.
Oh, yeah.
So
There was
like
plastic
3 weeks
on the seat.
before, but there was still plastic on the carpets, which is
Yeah, well, this was great. Thank you, guys. Thank you to our patrons for some good questions today. And of course, if anyone has any very specific questions or needs, or we can ask them later and get you information.
We'll get you back in September and October. We hope to roll out a lot more information about what's going to be possible here.
Cool.
And we're excited for it all.
And did someone took back over the Willow Springs Raceway Instagram and was posting on it? Somebody was doing that. Was that you guys?
I think Khan is running it with us.
Okay, great. Yeah.
And the Speedway folks. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Sure.
So yeah, follow the Willow Springs Raceway Instagram for updates and all that. And I can't wait to be back out here driving some stuff. And trust me, I've seen the renderings, even if they're not 100% accurate to production. If it looks anything like that when they're done, we're in for a real big treat. Thanks, guys. We'll see you next time. Bye.